This is the story of how one man built America's largest sailboat company from a debt he could never collect. How his death set off a chain of events that ended with workers going unpaid and 57 years of molds being auctioned off to strangers. And how, just weeks ago, the brand came back to life under the people who knew it best. This is the rise, fall, and return of Catalina Yachts. Frank Butler was not trying to build an empire when he started Catalina Yachts in 1969 out of North Hollywood, California, and he never pretended otherwise. His own words said it plainly. When I founded Catalina Yachts in 1970, my goal was not to become the largest sailboat builder in the United States. My goal was, and still is, to build good boats that are a good value for our customers. Build good boats. Give people good value. That one philosophy turned out to be a better business plan than anything his competitors were working with. Butler was born in Glendale, California in 1928, served in the Navy after high school, briefly attended college, and eventually opened a machine shop called Wesco Tool, making airplane parts. His path into boat building started by accident, around 1961 or 1962, when he contracted with a builder for a 21-foot Victory sloop, and that builder ran out of money. Unable to repay what he had borrowed from Butler, the man handed over the tooling instead, and Butler renamed the operation Wesco Marine, then Coronado Yachts. He sold Coronado to the Whitaker Corporation in 1968, stayed exactly 1 year, and walked away to start fresh. That fresh start was Catalina Yachts, and the first boat off the line, built in July 1969, was the Catalina 22. Butler hoped to build 100 of them. He had no idea what was about to happen. 6 years later, in February 1975, the Catalina 22 reached hull number 5,000. By September 1980, it had hit 10,000, and production had spread beyond California to England, Australia, and Canada. February 1990 brought hull number 15,000, and some accounts put the final lifetime total as high as 18,000 hulls, making it the best-selling keelboat and trailerable sailboat in American history. Sail magazine named it Trailerable Boat of the Decade in 1980, and in 1995, the American Sailboat Hall of Fame made it official. But Butler was never a one-model company, and that's where the story gets more interesting. March 1970 brought the Catalina 27, followed by the Catalina 30 in December 1974, which went out and won its class in the Newport to Ensenada race almost immediately. By May 1985, the 27 had reached hull number 6,000, earning the title of the largest class of keelboats in the world at the time, while the 30 crossed 6,000 hulls of its own by September 1990 and set a new keelboat production record in the process. More than 6,400 Catalina 30s were eventually built across the model's full run, enough to earn it the title of the world's most popular 30-footer, and enough to land it in the Hall of Fame alongside the 22 in 2001. A designer named Jerry Douglas joined the company in 1982 and created the Catalina 36, which became the first of roughly 40 designs he would produce over a 40-year career. 2 years later, Butler acquired Morgan Yachts and its Largo, Florida factory, giving the company an East Coast manufacturing base. Environmental regulations in California eventually pushed the entire operation to Largo permanently, and that 7-acre facility on Bryan Dairy Road became Catalina's home for the long haul. The Catalina 42 launched in 1989, sold 100 hulls in its first year alone, described at the time as breaking U.S. production records, and crossed hull number 1,000 by November 2007. Across more than 80 models and 57 years, the company put over 85,000 boats on the water, including 6,662 Catalina 27s, the largest production run of any 27-footer in American history, and 2,305 Catalina 36s. These were automotive-scale numbers for an industry where a few hundred units qualifies as a success. Practical Sailor laid out the record without much decoration. Catalina Yachts has been at or near the pinnacle of the production boat building industry since Frank Butler formed the company in 1969. The company endured the market downturns of the 1970s and 1980s, while competitors fell by the wayside. Pearson fell, Cal fell, O'Day fell. Catalina kept building. Part of why came down to Butler himself. He personally answered warranty calls, not as a marketing exercise, but because that was how he operated. Customers who called the company often ended up talking to the founder, and that kind of access built a loyalty that no advertising budget can manufacture. He received Sail magazine's Industry Award for Leadership in 1995, entered the National Sailing Hall of Fame in 2013, founded the Westlake Yacht Club, and spent more than 71 years married to the same woman, Jean, while raising 7 children. And just before the end of his life, his company produced its finest achievement. The Catalina 545 launched around 2019 and 2020, and Cruising World named it Overall Boat of the Year in 2020, beating a fleet of 22 competitors that included 16 monohulls, 5 catamarans, and a trimaran. It also took Best Full-Size Cruiser over 55 feet and won Sail Magazine's Best Large Monohull and Best Systems Awards in the same cycle. Cruising World's Boat of the Year director Herb McCormick put it this way: "The Catalina 545 really struck a chord with our judging team. It's safe to say the boat really surprised them and ultimately won them over." Whew, that was the high water mark. 50 years of work, recognized in a single award season. Frank Butler died 3 months later. The fall of Catalina Yachts. On November 15, 2020, Frank Willis Butler died at age 92 in Westlake Village, California, and the company he had built around his own personality and judgment suddenly had to figure out who it was without him. Now, a version of this story circulates online that blames COVID or places the shutdown in 2020 or 2021, and that version is wrong. Catalina kept building after Butler died. What happened in 2020 and 2021 were 2 quieter losses that planted the seeds of everything that followed. Butler's death left a succession gap at the top of a family-owned business that had revolved around one man for 5 decades, and then Jerry Douglas, 40 years with the company, 40 designs, roughly 60,000 of those 85,000 boats built during his tenure, retired in 2021. The founder and the designer, gone within a year of each other. Sales director Sharon Day and production manager Patrick Turner took over. The company kept operating, but without Butler's ownership and Douglas's design vision, it faced a harder road through an industry already dealing with a used boat glut, an aging fleet, and growing competition from overseas builders. That changed in late April or early May of 2025, when a man named Michael Reardon, founder of a North Carolina company called Daedalus Yachts, acquired Catalina and its sister brand True North under a provisional asset purchase agreement. The reported purchase price came to approximately $1 million plus roughly $1.425 million in assumed payables. Critically, the Butler family kept ownership of the Largo factory itself and leased it to Reardon. Sharon Day retired, Patrick Turner became president. Within weeks, the warning signs were visible. Reardon paid June's rent and then stopped entirely. By August 2025, while already in default on that lease, Reardon acquired Tartan Yachts, Freedom Yachts, and AMP Carbon Spars from Seattle Yachts, in a deal described by Italian marine publication Giornale della Vela as involving a $1 down payment plus a share of future sales. Days before that closing, he had raised $124,000 by selling accounts receivable debt at a discount to New York factoring companies. The brief headline was that Reardon's network had become America's largest recreational boat builder by brand count. The problem was what Giornale della Vela also reported. Reardon's Daedalus Yachts website claimed 36 Boat of the Year awards, yet despite receiving roughly $500,000 in public funds, Daedalus had never completed a single boat. Its one half-built project, a 100-foot carbon catamaran commissioned by the co-creator of Google Maps, had been shipped to France for someone else to finish. September 18, 2025 brought a breach of lease lawsuit from the Butler family's company, California Catalina, filed in Pinellas County, Florida. October 13th through 16th, Patrick Turner announced what he called a temporary production pause, citing short-term financial challenges, and employees reported going more than 5 weeks without pay with their health insurance canceled. On October 14th, Turner appeared on video laying off staff on the factory floor, and a week later, on October 22nd through 24th, a Pinellas County court evicted Reardon from the building entirely. Marine journalist Peter Swanson, who had been tracking the collapse on his Substack newsletter Loose Cannon, reported that Reardon owed $113,000 in back rent and that the default had triggered the deferred $1 million purchase price to come due immediately. Ken Bauer of the Catalina Owners Association put the community's feelings into words. "Reardon bought this company with no plan and no clue how to make it work, and now everyone is screwed. This is the same guy who after many years has yet to deliver one single completed boat at Daedalus Yachts." Operations ceased by the end of 2025. Bankruptcy reports came in January 2026, with the street running the headline, "Iconic Boat Company Closes Down After 56 Years." A Florida court entered a $1 million default judgment against Reardon on January 30th, and in February, the Pinellas County Office of Human Rights found his holding company guilty of wage theft, ordering double compensation for affected workers, some of whom had been earning as little as $16 an hour before the paycheck stopped coming. 9 boats sat unfinished on the factory floor. Many workers moved on to jobs at nearby Island Packet Yachts. On June 9, 2026, Bay Area Auction Services opened a 4-day absolute auction, no minimum bids, across the full 7-acre Largo facility, covering all tooling, molds, unfinished hulls, and equipment. 57 years of American boat building history sold off in pieces over 4 days. The return of Catalina Yachts. Most people don't know this part yet because it just happened. On July 1st and 2nd of 2026, timed deliberately to coincide with the 250th anniversary of American independence, a Largo, Florida marine manufacturing company called C&T Composites announced it had acquired the Catalina and True North brand names and would restart production, introduce updated models, and launch a new adventure boat line called Explore Yachts. The CEO of the new operation was Patrick Turner, the same Patrick Turner who had been Catalina's production manager, who moved up to president under Reardon, and who had been on that factory floor when the layoffs happened. Joining him were John Chen, with multi-hull development experience, and board member Hyten Sonpal, connected to iRobot and Rice Robotics. Former designers and engineers are expected to return to the team. Turner's statement left little ambiguity about the mission. "We are honored to have the opportunity to carry these brands forward. Catalina and True North have earned tremendous respect over many years, and our goal is to preserve that legacy while bringing back experienced people who know these boats, adding new talent and building the next generation of Catalina and True North boats right here in America." Production will remain in Largo, Florida, and the plan calls for continuing existing Catalina and True North designs alongside new ones, with the Explore Adventure Boat brand launching alongside. From the dealer side, Rick Diedrich of Massey Yacht Sales told Marine Industry News he was very encouraged to see Catalina Yachts moving forward under the leadership of C&T Composites. The caution in the sailing community is honest and understandable. After what Reardon put people through, trust doesn't come automatically, and one commenter on Peter Swanson's Loose Cannon newsletter stated the concern plainly. "Would be great if the new CEO can address fears of possible undercapitalization, since it would seem they are starting from zero." That assessment is accurate. The molds and tooling went through a public auction in June, and what was recovered from that sale has not been publicly confirmed. No production schedule has been announced. No boats have been built yet under the new ownership. None of that makes the revival impossible. What it means is that the sailing community is watching. In the summer of 2026, Catalina Yachts exists as a brand name, a team of people who know how to build boats, and a promise not yet tested by production. The company that Frank Butler started from a debt he could never collect on a boat he never meant to build went on to produce more than 85,000 boats, including the best-selling keelboat in American history, across 57 years of continuous American manufacturing. It outlasted Pearson, Cal, O'Day, and every other production builder that collapsed in the downturns of the 70s and 80s. Its flagship won Overall Boat of the Year in 2020, and 5 months of Reardon's ownership in 2025 undid all of it, leaving 9 unfinished boats, a $1 million default judgment, unpaid workers, and an auction. Butler died in 2020 before any of that happened. The man who personally called customers back about warranty problems, who borrowed a Lockheed aircraft manufacturing technique to build better boats at lower cost, who simply wanted to build good boats at fair prices. He was gone before the worst of it. Whether Patrick Turner and C&T Composites can deliver on the July 2026 announcement is a question that production will eventually answer. The intent is there. The experience is there. The name survived. And if boats start coming out of that Largo facility again, made the way they always were, by people who spent their careers building them, then the story of Catalina Yachts is not finished. Thanks for watching this episode. If you enjoyed it, a like and subscribe means the world. And for sticking around, here's a Catalina 400 Mark II doing what she was born to do.